Hey everybody, it's Charles from HumbleMechanic.com, and today we're talking about the worst car repair jobs ever. When it comes to fixing cars, there are plenty of jobs that nobody wants to do. And I think that this one right here we're going to talk about today ranks at the very top of that list. And what is that job? Well, it is doing a heater core. Now, you may be wondering, Charles, what makes a heater core so awful, right? Just the dash is out. It's not that big of a deal. Well, as you can see, there's a ton of things removed from this vehicle. We have the seats, we have the center console, we have the dashboard, the steering wheel, the instrument cluster, the crash bar, the airbags, the heater core, and a whole bunch of tiny little plastic parts and screws galore. But that in of itself doesn't really make the job horrible. There's plenty of jobs that require a ton of parts to be taken off. So what does make this so much worse than other jobs like it? Well, first of all, we're dealing with 20-year-old fragile, sensitive plastic. The kind of plastic that if you look at it wrong, you're really likely to break it. And it's not like this plastic is readily available. Most of it's obsolete from the dealership, and it's few and far between in the salvage yards. Now, once you start getting parts off, the job doesn't flow too bad, but it's the behind the dash stuff that makes for a nightmare. As you can see, all this wiring is routed very specifically, and if you don't get it back together right, you run the risk of pinching wires, breaking wires, or what usually happens is you end up with a wire not secured properly and you get a dash rattle. Most of the wiring in these older Mark IIIs is wrapped in this foam that you can't touch without it completely falling apart. So the opportunity to create dash rattles is enormous. Also, if you don't get these wires routed exactly where they need to go, you may find yourself coming up short when it comes to plugging in certain connectors. This is also one of those jobs that if you're doing for a customer can easily go crooked if, let's say, the customer wasn't the neatest with the interior of their car. I've definitely found some nasty things working on interiors. On top of the nuts and bolts of doing this job, you find yourself in awkward positions. I like to take the seats out when I do these jobs because it gives me more movement inside the vehicle. So you're either sitting on your foot, sitting on the bare floor, kneeling on a tool, kneeling on a screw, or having to work around leaving the seats in the car. You also find yourself working in uncomfortable positions, maybe up underneath the dash, and working blindly trying to find that one last bolt or that one last screw that's hiding and preventing you from getting the dash out. If you're removing the heater box altogether, you're also draining the coolant and evacuating the refrigerant. Now, I do think this is one of the worst flat rate jobs, period, that you can do. From a DIYer standpoint, it's not too bad because it gives us the opportunity to clean up these wires, rewrap them, fix our heater box, get all of our blend doors recovered and refoamed so that our heat will actually work when we get the heater core replaced. And since we're not battling the clock, it makes it quite a bit less stressful. On flat rate, this is one of those jobs that you really want to hustle through just to get through it and get it done, but it's also the job that you need to take your time and be very careful, very methodical, because creating a dash rattle or getting everything back together and trying to plug that last plug in and coming up an inch or two short means you're going back in and doing it again. So to sum it up, a ton of fasteners, a ton of uncomfortable positions, a lot of fragile plastic parts, and it doesn't help that we're working in a cold garage, make for doing a heater core or evaporator core one of the worst jobs ever. Which brings me to the question of the day. What do you think the worst car repair job out there is? Is it dealing with rust? Is it dealing with rebuilding engines, taking dashes apart like this one, or probably more accurately, putting back together dashes like this one? Post it down in the comments section, then let me know. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, always appreciate that. Thank you guys for following the GTI build. We are gonna be doing some really cool stuff since the dash is out and making the best of what, again, I think is the worst car repair job you could have to do. Don't forget to subscribe and ding the notification bell. Also check out HumbleMechanic.com. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course on Snapchat. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the support. I need it when doing unfun jobs like this. I appreciate it, and I will see you next time.